Okay, today we're going to finish part two, if you will, of your first few nights in Jackson Hole and your trip through Grand Teton National Park and into Yellowstone. This is Around the Park RV safaris. Welcome back. So, where we left off was that you would be staying in the Grovont campground on your first night. And so let's zoom in on that. Okay, so here we are. And as you travel north of the park, so here where you see the cursor, this is Grand Teton National Park over here. You'll be going past the lake. You'll have abundant places to stop and take photos, possibly some wildlife viewing as well. Right here's the line where you're entering into Yellowstone National Park. And remember, we talked about Grassy Lake Road and some campground options in this area, as well as one of the horseback outfitters. So if you wanted to stay another night in northern Teton National Park area or continue onward into the park, we've got some options there. But for this video, this is going to be assuming that you're coming into Yellowstone, and we had spoken about campground availability and difficulty and whatnot. So one option would be to be spurring off to the left, going up towards Madison Campground, stopping in Old Faithful, and potentially camping in West Yellowstone if need be. That's just a gateway community. You're seeing here that this trip from your campground in Grovont, campground in Grand Teton, is going to be over 2 hours, and assuming you're going to stop, have lunch, etc. That's basically a half-day drive, and then you'd be finishing to go off to the West Yellowstone location. So let's see here. The other alternative would be if you were going to go to the east, and again, so roughly the same amount of time. This is mapped to Fishing Bridge RV Park. One thing that we left off with is that you need to check on your reservations to see if you have the dates reserved in Fishing Bridge, or if you can change those. There are also campgrounds in this area at West Thumb, which I wouldn't necessarily say to do for this first route, but at the at Bridge Bay, right here by the Lake Visitor Center. So I think I brought that up to you in our first conversation, how that's a great place to stop off. A nice campground with nearby walks as well, or if you ended up at Fishing Bridge itself. The other thing we spoke about just recently was traveling out to Cody. So that's over here on the right. And that was based on the idea of doing seeing the rodeo. So the rodeo is available one night in Jackson during your vacation, during your dates. But in Cody, it is every night. It's an open registration. It's kind of wild. So I've got a couple quick videos that will highlight what's available. So this is the Jackson rodeo here. And as you can see, the stand's pretty full, but it's not a huge venue. So we'll just watch a couple seconds of this, and they go through a lot of the events, no doubt about it. That was a rowdy one. And then let's see, this is from me, my visit in Cody, Wyoming, several years ago, but I think that you can see kind of the difference here. So here we go. Let's go.
Cut. What a great partners they have been. Those fans, we're ready to ride.
All right, so all options might not be equal. If you want the rodeo experience, Cody might be the bigger bang for the buck. So food for thought there. All right, let me get back to these two maps. Again, so it depends on how you want to go around Yellowstone. You branch off here at the West Thumb and be trending towards Canyon Village. You could then go on up to Tower and around and come back down on your way out. Or just like we spoke of, you come through Old Faithful, the Geyser Basin, stay at Madison, and continue on out to West Yellowstone. So I think first step, and as you can see, leaving your campground in the Grovont area, The travel through here, you're going to have Lewis Falls and some other sites to check out. The drive out to Cody is beautiful and scenic. There's great fishing along the way, as well as a whitewater rafting provider, or a few, pardon me. And alternatively, going out to West Yellowstone. A third alternative, which I don't think is what you guys want to do necessarily, would be to continue on to Mammoth Campground or potentially out of the park to Gardner, where you have more commercial and national forest campground options. Again, for traveling in July, sometimes the park campgrounds will be booked up. So it's not uncommon that we'll send clients through the park and out one entrance, back in the next day touring, and then out the next entrance. Past Teepee is basically the east entrance into Yellowstone. So from this part east, you have a handful of campgrounds and RV parks until you reach the town of Cody, where you have an abundance of commercial campgrounds again, and then dining, grocery stores if you need to restock and things like that. So kind of like what we.
All right. So in hindsight, it's really just going to come down to whether you decide to navigate the park clockwise or counterclockwise. You will need to get out to West Yellowstone or to Cody for groceries, unless you're buying inside the park at some of the convenience stores and grocery options there. So, I mean, you're going to trend north, going through Grand Teton National Park, and throughout your stay, man, let's get you onto some fish. And hopefully some interesting wildlife viewing. Here's an example of a cub outside of my camper several years ago, scratching its back on a tree. And you can see this little rascal was really close. So if anything like this happens, you want to stay inside. Mama bear was probably really close by. This was just a cub. So you got to be bear aware, like we've spoken about before. But I think this is going to be a great trip out in Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Park. Thank you, as always. Please reach out via phone or text anytime, and we'll talk soon.